What's up, everybody? The excitement is now turning into nerves because we are so very close. Only 3 weeks away from the Leaving the Theater live show on February 11th at the Miracle Theater in Washington, D.C. The theme is Love on Screen, and we'll have a night of comedy, storytelling, and discussions of love in all of its forms in television and film. Tickets are currently on sale, and the link to them and details about the night are available in our show notes. And don't forget, there's a 50% discount on live show tickets that's available for members of the Patreon. And that's available until we sell out of tickets. I've posted that discount code in Patreon. So if you've been looking for another reason to become a patron, you should join us. And the link to join is also in our show notes. And now we have annual subscriptions available on Patreon, which gives you an automatic 10% discount. So if you're on the fence about joining, consider this a little bit of a push. All right, let's get to today's review, which is covering Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm on the couch. Check. This is Ronald, and I am on the couch after watching The Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Actually, it's not The Glass Onion, it's just Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Written and directed by Rian Johnson, starring Daniel Craig, Ed Norton, Janelle Monae, Katheryn Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr., Kate Hudson, Dave Bautista, and for a complete cast listing, check out the link in our show notes. All right, so this film is the second in, I guess, what would be considered an anthology series of Knives Out. The first one being Knives Out, which I believe came out a few years ago. I want to say it was pre-pandemic, so it might have been 2018 or 2019. I do not know right off the top of my head, but it starred its own all-star cast, but mainly Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc, who is solving a mystery of this family who basically were trying to steal the wealth from their oldest patriarch of the family. And I believe that was played by, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he replaced Kevin Spacey in a film recently. One of you is yelling it out right now. So just, yes, you got it. So we bring back Benoit Blanc to solve a new murder mystery, this time with a billionaire and his tightly knit circle of friends that he invites to his island paradise at a place called the Glass Onion, which is dedicated to kind of where he met his original group of friends who's coming to visit with him. And he builds this replica Glass Onion, and there's a mystery, and there's boxes and puzzles to get them all there. And they get there, and of course, there is shenanigans afoot. Now, this movie did a limited theater run. I think it was in theaters for a couple of weeks, and it had a budget of $40 million. It made $15 million in the theater, which is pretty good for a limited run release. And then it was immediately dropped on Netflix a couple weeks later, December 23rd, where it is right now. If you want to watch it, that's where it is. This movie is very, very good. It's a movie. Mystery movies always, I think one of the things that make them amazing is that mystery movies should make you want to watch them. They should make you want to watch closer and try to figure out what's going on, because a good mystery movie is going to put all the clues for you in plain sight. And I think the feat of a mystery movie is that when they review all of their clues, they indicate to you that everything that you had to solve the crime is right in front of you if you were paying closer attention, which means upon a second viewing, if I were to watch Glass Onion again, I should be able to see, oh. It's kind of like watching The Sixth Sense or Tenet, or there's a bunch of other kind of mystery movies, or even something like Inception, where if you go back and you watch it again, all of the things that made no sense because you're hearing them for the first time all make sense again. And this movie is ironclad in that right. Of course, we are all waiting to get to the portion of the movie where the detective solves the case. And how is that going to be? And this movie really makes you work for that, because I want to say about halfway through, I remember it's one of those things where, you know, kind of when you watch Law and Order, about 30 minutes, about if they solve the case too quick, like 15 minutes in, you're like, wait a minute. There's got to be more. And then there's a twist, and it's not this guy, it's this other guy, and blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of what happened here, where we're watching it and they seem to be laying out things so plainly. And then all of a sudden they turn around and say, just kidding, there's more. And it was, I was along for the ride. They really made me work for the aha moment where Benoit Blanc is going to step up and solve the case. It's funny because normally that type of predictability would make me leery of watching a movie like this. It'd be like, oh, they're just going to go and solve it. But the truth is, I love movies like that. I love Ocean's 11, where I know at some point they're going to go back and say, were you watching closely? And then force me to basically rewatch the movie from a different perspective and then pick up all of these clues that I got. And this movie is chock full of that, and it's so enjoyable. Like, I'm sitting on the couch watching this, and I'm trying to debate within myself if I would have had as good a time in the movies. And I've been saying this a lot, but if I have to put a coat on, then I feel like I feel differently. The standards for the movie I'm about to watch feel different. And I think this might have held up for me in theaters, to be honest, because I mean, it just, you know, I don't have my phone. I'm sitting there. I have to be drawn in. And I'm just, the questions in my mind keep raising. I'm looking at stuff in the background, trying to examine what's happening. And doing that from the comfort of my home certainly makes the movie better. But I think I also could have done that in a theater, which is amazing. This movie is very funny. It has a lot. It is loaded up with jokes. One from the way that Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc interacts with everybody else. Very charming, very charming character. Also very funny in the way that he interacts with folks. You know, doing his neat party tricks over and over again, but in a way that's very charming and showing that he's always the smartest one in the room. There's a joke in there where someone mentions that he's probably really good at Clue, and he kind of goes on a diatribe about how stupid Clue is as a game. Which is, and I remember I took a note saying, of course Benoit Blanc hates Clue. Like, of course, that 100% makes sense. There's a Serena Williams cameo in here that is like, you don't even know it's a cameo until it starts to happen. And then when you realize like that you're kind of in this, you know, the world that we're set in revolves around this kind of Elon Musk adjacent figure, some luminary with a lot of money who just wants to, air quotes, change the world and leave his mark and leave his legacy and be mentioned in the same breath as the Mona Lisa. And set in this universe, this guy is still a person who is just looking for the validation from other people. He just constantly seeks validation, constantly wants attention, constantly wants people to say, oh my God, you're so cool. You did this, you did that. You're so cool. Oh my God. And he does that. Edward Norton plays this character by dropping names after names just casually over and over again. At one point, he calls Anderson Cooper the Coops. There's so many lines in there. Here's at one point, he assigns everyone to the rooms of the chakras that he most closely associated them with. At one point, he uses the phrase, my puzzle guy barely got the 5 puzzles done in time, and he apprenticed with Ricky Jay. It's just how he's casually dropping these, and it's so casually douchey. Like, it's watching it, you immediately say, oh yeah, I know this guy. Even if it's not Elon Musk, you obviously know who this guy is the minute you see him show up on screen. So Very, very enjoyable movie to watch. And at one point, it felt like it became more of a justice mystery, which I always appreciate. This movie made me forgive Janelle Monae for doing Antebellum, which is a movie I absolutely hated. And I was like, I don't think I'll ever see her in a movie again. That'll be it. She did this, and I'm like, yes, okay, great. Do this. Do things like this moving forward. I don't need you to like do the, like, I don't know. If you saw Antebellum, you know where I was going with that. But like, yeah, we just don't need those necessarily anymore. But I love Janelle Monae. I love her music. I love her presence. And I loved seeing her in this. She did a great job. Stood up well against all the people in the cast. And this is a star-studded cast. Everybody on here is like, working and doing well and showing up in plenty of other things. I mean, even the cameo. I mean, at some point there's a I won't ruin all the cameos, but there are several cameos in here that are just very entertaining. And even the way they place them are all like very entertaining to watch and see. Enjoyable all the way through. This is probably one of the, if not the best Netflix movie I've ever seen. And when I say that, I mean, think about all the Netflix movies you've seen. So it's not a hard feat to accomplish, but I would say that this wins by a mile. It's well ahead of anything else that would be in second place. I'm actually blanking on anything that would even be considered. As a matter of fact, I would say everything else is not even in contention in terms of what Netflix accomplishes on their network. I mean, on their platform, on their streaming service, whatever. But we can discuss that in other episodes. This movie really draws you in. It really forces you to watch. Just enjoyable from beginning and really tightly done, even though it's in a runtime of 2 hours and 19 minutes. I struggled to think of something that this movie needed to cut. I will say that I think the ending, while satisfying, was not as satisfying as I think it could have been. But it's not to say that it makes the movie any less enjoyable. I was just like, when I got to the end, I was just like, okay. All right, that's cool. But I still enjoyed the journey and I would watch this again. With that being said, I mean, I think up until then, I was looking at this and actually interrogating myself and saying, am I about to do a 5-star movie? Am I about to say this is a 5-star movie? But when I got close to the end, I had to shake myself a little bit more. And I'm like, I think that this is a 4.5-star movie. It is fantastic. I would recommend it to most people. If you like mysteries, it's great. If you want to see everyone playing together, having a good time, just great, enjoyable to watch. Check it out. It's on Netflix right now. So yeah, really enjoyed it. And with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of OhitsBigRon Studios. Thomas Tyra of Bias Studios mixes the show. Thank you, Tom. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OhitsBigRon. That's at OhitsBigRon. You can find out more about this show and other OhitsBigRon Studio shows by following us on Instagram at OhitsBigRon Studios and on Twitter at OhitsBigRon Stew. That's STEW. Leaving the Theater will be back soon, but until then, I'll be here on the couch. Ready? Okay. Glass onion. Patrons. Man, got to do that breath control on this one. Okay. I posted that discount code in Patreon. Come on, man. You're a professional. You do this for a living. You got this.